The crowd was loud. Too loud. Strange lights flashed in the dark market. Voices shouted numbers. Chains rattled. The air smelled like smoke, sweat, and fear. On a metal platform, under a harsh spotlight, stood a young alien girl. Her skin was a soft purple, and her hair hung in messy black waves. Her thin body shook. She wore only a torn cloth. Her wrists and ankles were tied in glowing cuffs. Her large eyes were full of fear. She was just a number now. Lot 48. The slave trader shouted. She's young, strong, and never touched by any master. A rare find. Start at 50 credits. Hands shot up. Different aliens shouted bids, some laughing, some staring at her with hunger in their eyes. One whispered something about using her for pain training. The girl's heart beat like a drum. She couldn't speak. Her throat was dry. She had been in cages for weeks. She hadn't slept properly in months. She thought she would die. Maybe dying would be better than being sold again. Then someone new stepped forward. A human. He looked different from the others. Older, middle-aged. His face was calm but serious. He wore a brown coat, boots, and a simple shirt. His eyes didn't look cruel. Just tired. The traders looked surprised. Didn't expect a human here, one of them muttered. The auctioneer smirked. Ah, a human. Want to try something exotic? This one screams a lot. The girl's body tensed. She thought he's just like the rest. He wants to hurt me too. The man said nothing. He just raised his hand. 100 credits. Going once, going twice, sold to the human. The other bidders groaned or laughed. She's not even worth that much, one said. The girl's legs almost gave out as the trader unlocked her cuffs. Her arms were weak. She couldn't move. Fast, a guard shoved her forward. Go, slave. Your new master waits. She didn't want to move. She was scared. Her last owner had burned her for not walking fast enough. But the human didn't shout or raise his hand. He simply waited. Slowly she walked to him. Her head stayed low. She dared not look at his face. He turned and began walking. She followed. They left the market. The noise faded behind them. The sky was dark, filled with red and green stars. They walked in silence. She expected him to slap her, chain her, or drag her. But he did none of that. He took her to a small transport ship. Simple, but clean. He opened the door and pointed inside. She stepped in, her feet shaky. Inside, it was quiet and warm. A folded blanket sat on one seat. A bottle of clean water on another. He pointed to the seat. Sit. She did. He gave her the blanket. You're cold. She looked at him confused. Why was he not yelling? Why was he being gentle? The ship lifted off. The market disappeared behind them. Still, the girl sat frozen. She didn't trust him. She couldn't. Where? Are you taking me? She asked, her voice weak. Somewhere safe, he replied. Her hands gripped the blanket. She was still waiting for the trick, the pain, the real reason he bought her. He looked at her. You don't need to fear me. She stared back. Then why did you buy me? He was silent for a moment. Then he said softly, because no one else was going to help you. Tears filled her eyes, but she quickly wiped them. No, don't cry. He'll get angry. But he didn't single quotes d. Instead he turned away, giving her space. No threats, no orders. Just silence. For the first time in years, the alien girl sat in peace. But her heart still trembled. She couldn't believe it yet. She didn't know if this was real. She thought. Maybe tomorrow he'll show his true face. Maybe he's just waiting. But for tonight. She was warm. She was safe. And for the first time, she dared to close her eyes without fear. She didn't sleep. She just closed her eyes and pretended. Even in the soft seat of the transport ship, wrapped in a clean blanket, her mind was still in the cage, the cold floor, the whip, the eyes watching her, the chains cutting her skin. No one was ever kind to her without a reason. Kindness meant a trap. She had learned that the hard way. The ship landed on a quiet moon, far from any cities. There were trees outside, tall and blue. The wind made no sound. The middle-aged human opened the door. "Come." Her legs trembled as she stood. She followed him out, her head still low. She couldn't look him in the eyes, not yet. He didn't push her. He didn't touch her. Just walked. He led her to a small home made of gray stone and wood. The door opened with a soft hiss. Inside was simple. One main room, a bed in the corner, a table, 2 chairs, and a heater glowing with soft red light. He pointed. "That's your space." She froze. He was giving her a bed? Her past owners had given her cold cages, floors, sometimes a box. Never a real bed. She didn't speak. She slowly walked to it and sat on the edge, ready to jump away if he tried something. But he didn't move. He just said, "You can rest. I'll bring food soon," and walked into another room. She waited 1 minute, 5, 10. No one came to hit her. No. One yelled. Just silence. Her fingers clutched the blanket tighter. This had to be a trick. Maybe he was waiting until she let her guard down. She thought, he wants to see me relax, so it'll hurt more when he starts. Her stomach growled. But she didn't go looking for food. Hunger was better than pain. She had eaten before and gotten punished for eating too much, or too slow, or too fast. She curled up on the bed and stared at the wall. Then the door opened. She jumped up. He stepped in, holding a tray. "I brought food," he said quietly. "You can eat." She didn't move. He placed the tray on the table and stepped back. "It's yours." Still, she didn't touch it. He looked at her for a long moment, then simply said, "I'll be in the other room. Eat if you want." And he left. She waited 10 more minutes. No footsteps, no shouts, no traps. Her body moved on its own, slowly, carefully. She walked to the table, picked up the spoon, and smelled the warm broth. No poison. Just soup. She took 1 bite. She cried, silently, not loud. Just tears falling while her lips touched real food. She had forgotten what real food tasted like. She ate everything, every bite. Then placed the tray back, sat on the bed, and stared at the door. She thought, now he'll come. Now he'll hurt me for touching what he gave. But again, he didn't. Hours passed. Then she heard his voice from the other room. "You can sleep. No one will touch you here." She whispered back, unsure if he could hear. "Why are you doing this?" There was a pause. Then a soft answer. "Because someone should have done it a long time ago." She didn't understand. She wanted to believe it. But she COULDN single quotes D. Night. She lay down on the bed. She kept 1 foot on the ground, ready to run. She didn't close her eyes all the way. Her hands stayed near her chest, just in case. But no one came, and for the 2nd night in a row, she was not in pain. The 3rd morning, she followed him, not because he told her to, but because silence was louder than chains. She didn't understand him. This human, this older man, didn't act like any owner she had known. No pain, no shouting, no orders. He would wake early, drink something hot, then step outside into the cold morning air and work with his hands, fixing old machines, cutting wood, repairing small parts from scrap. He never looked at her with hunger, never told her to kneel, never touched her. She didn't know if it was kindness or a trick waiting to snap. So she watched him, quietly, like a shadow behind the wall. One afternoon, while he sat fixing a drone's damaged leg, she stepped closer and asked the question that burned in her chest. "Why did you buy me?" He didn't look up right away. His fingers kept moving, tightening bolts. Then he spoke, calm, simple. "You were scared. I couldn't leave you there." She frowned. That made no sense. "You paid 100 credits. For me, that's not how the galaxy works." "No," he said, "but maybe it should." She stared at him, confused. Angry, sad. Do you think I'm broken? She asked. He finally looked up. No, he said. I think you're hurt. That's different. The wind outside howled. She sat on the cold ground near him, arms around her knees. I've never known a human hurt me, she whispered. Then I'll be your first. His voice didn't shake. He meant it. She turned her face away, unsure if she wanted to cry or scream. You don't understand, she said. I've been owned since I was 12. They told me my only worth was how much pain I could take. Then they lied. The words hit her harder than a whip. She looked down at her hands, thin, shaky, scarred. Even if I'm free, I don't know who I am. You'll figure it out, he said. You've got time now. Time? No one had ever said. She had time. Time was for people who were safe. She felt something strange inside her chest. Something soft. Something dangerous. Hope that she shook her head. You're just saying that. You want something. All of them did. The man paused, then nodded. You're right. I do want something. She tensed. He looked at her calmly. I want you to eat well, sleep in peace, learn who you are, heal. She blinked. That wasn't what she expected. You want me to be okay? Yes. Why? He looked down at his hands. I had a daughter once, he said softly. She died in a war. Too young. I couldn't protect her. I saw you standing there, shaking, afraid, and I couldn't walk away. I thought, maybe this time I could do something right. She didn't speak. He stood up and placed a small wrapped object beside her. It was a translator, patch fixed. Your old one was cracked, he said. Now you can talk freely. She stared at it, a simple gift. But no one had ever given her anything before without wanting something back. Her throat tightened. She reached for the patch, her fingers trembling. When she pressed it to her neck, she heard a soft beep. It worked. Thank you, she whispered. He only nodded and went back to work. And for the first time since she had been taken from her home, she felt a tiny piece of something new building inside her. Not trust, not yet, but maybe. The beginning of it. Asterisk, she didn't cry when they beat her. She didn't cry when they sold her. She didn't even cry when they burned her name off her arm, but now in a warm bed. In silence, she cried. It started slow. A single tear, then two. Then a wave she couldn't stop. She pressed her face into the pillow, trying not to make a sound. Her body shook as the pain she'd buried for years came pouring out. Why now? Why? Here. Why after everything did kindness break her? She didn't hear him walk in, but when she looked up, he was standing there, the human. The man who had bought her not to break her, but to give her peace. She panicked. She tried to wipe her face, hide the tears, pretend she was fine, but he said nothing. He didn't mock her, didn't tell her to stop, didn't ask what was wrong. He just sat down on the floor, beside the bed. Close, but not touching, a quiet presence. That silence meant everything. No one had ever sat beside her during her worst moments. Not once, not even her own people. She covered her face and whispered through her shaking hands. I don't know how to be free. He didn't rush his words. No one expects you to know, he said. You're not broken for feeling lost. She bit her lip. I don't even know what I like, what I want. Who I am. You'll figure it out, he said. One day at a time. She looked at him, her eyes red. You're not going to send me away for crying? No. You're not mad? No. She stared at him in disbelief. I'm useless. You're not. I can't fight. I can't cook. I can't clean properly. I freeze when people yell. I can't even sleep without nightmares. He raised his hand gently, not to hit, but to stop her words. You don't need to earn safety, he said. You already deserve it. She covered her mouth. Those words. They hit something deep inside her. Something untouched for years. You remind me of her, he said after a long pause. She tilted her head. My daughter, he continued. She was strong, brave, but gentle too. She always believed people could be better. What happened to her? He looked at the wall. War took her. Same war that destroyed your planet. Silence fell between them again, heavy but honest. Do you think, if she was here, she'd help someone like me? The alien girl asked. She would have hugged you, he said. And told you the same thing I did. You're not alone anymore. Her lips quivered, and for the first time, she believed it, even just a little. That night, she didn't curl up in fear. She didn't sleep with one foot on the floor, ready to run. She didn't stare at the door, expecting pain. Instead, she lay still, and the man sat nearby, keeping watch. Not as her master, not as her owner, but as the first soul in her broken life who simply stayed. She had never raised her voice before, not when she was whipped, not when they starved her, not when her name was taken, but today, she stood up. And she yelled. It started with boots outside the house. Heavy, fast. A patrol ship landed in the clearing. Government soldiers. 3 aliens in armor, wearing badges of power. Their eyes cold. Their weapons ready. She froze at first. Old fear crawling up her spine. Then they pushed past the front door. You there? One barked at the human. You are harboring a slave. Species Zarnan. Female. Property of Sector Trade House 14. The human looked up from his chair, calm as always. She's not a slave, not anymore, the soldiers laughed. She was never freed legally. That makes her stolen property. Surrender her now, or be arrested. Her hands trembled. Her throat closed. She waited for him to give in, to hand her over, to let them take her, but he stood up. No. The word was quiet but powerful. The lead soldier stepped forward, weapon buzzing. This is your last warning. That's when she moved. She stepped between them, between the man who saved her and the world that once broke her. No! She shouted. He didn't steal me. He saved me. The soldiers blinked, surprised. He fed me, she said, voice shaking but loud. He gave me a bed, a name. He never hurt me, never touched me. He treats me like I matter. You're confused, one soldier said. It's common in rescued slaves. No, she said again, louder this time. I'm not confused. I remember what real owners did to me. I remember the pain. The cages, the way they laughed when I cried. He never did that. Not once. The patrol looked between them. The oldest soldier stepped forward, reading from a pad. Your owner never filed missing slave reports. You're not even listed on the record. She paused, shocked. I'm not? No, which means, he looked at the human. She technically belongs to no one, and this is not illegal. They holstered their weapons, but be careful. Human, the soldier warned. Not all patrols would let this go. The law still favors ownership, especially for species like her. Then they turned and left. The ship rose and vanished into the sky. Silence returned. The girl sank to the floor. Her legs gave out. The human walked to her and knelt. You okay? He asked. I yelled, she said, almost laughing. I screamed. I never thought I could. You were strong. She looked up at him. I would have gone back with them, she whispered, if you had asked, because I thought, maybe that's all I'm good for. He shook his head. You stood in front of a weapon for me. That's not weakness. That's courage. Her lip trembled. Why did they say I'm not in the records? He frowned. Maybe they never planned to keep you. Maybe you were just thrown away. She looked down, but not anymore. He added gently. She reached out and for the first time touched him. Not with fear, not with shame, but with quiet trust. I'm not going anywhere, she said. Not unless you tell me to. I never will, he replied. And for the first time, she didn't feel like something owned or thrown away. She felt like a person, like someone who finally belonged. Asterisk. She smelled him before she saw him, rotten spice. Burned oil. The scent of her nightmares, her former owner. He was here. She dropped the bowl she was holding. It shattered on the floor. The human looked up from the corner. His eyes instantly sharp. Then came the voice. Thick, cruel, familiar. There you are, little worm. A tall alien stepped through the doorway, armor glowing dark red. His mouth curled into a smile that made her skin crawl. Behind him stood 2 guards, heavily armed. She couldn't breathe. Her legs refused to move. I knew someone stole my merchandise, the alien said. Didn't expect it to be a lonely human. You must have been desperate. The human stepped forward, placing himself between the girl and the monster. She's not yours, he said coldly. Leave. The alien laughed. Do you know who I am? I don't care. She was mine, the alien growled. I paid for her. I branded her. And now she belongs to me again. She's not a thing, the human replied. She's free. The alien's smile dropped. You really think I came here to negotiate? He raised his hand. The guards pointed their weapons. The girl gasped. No, please don't hurt him. The human didn't flinch. He pulled a small device from under the table. One click. A hidden turret popped out from the ceiling and aimed right at the intruders. The guards froze. I don't like violence, the human said, but I will protect her. If you try to take her, you'll die. The alien hesitated. His eyes burned with hate. She's just trash, he hissed. You'll regret this, human. No one keeps what belongs to me. She never belonged to you, the girl said. Her voice was soft but steady. She stepped out from behind the human. Her fists were clenched. Her eyes, wet with fear, still looked straight into her captor's face. I am not yours, she said. The alien growled. You'll come crawling back. They always do. He turned, snapped his fingers, and vanished into the sky. The silence afterward felt heavier than his threat. The girl fell to her knees. The human rushed to her, helping her sit. He's going to come back, she whispered. I know. He'll bring more soldiers. I'm ready. Her hands were shaking. Why are you risking your life for me? Because no one else ever did. She looked into his eyes. She saw no fear, no doubt, only truth. That night they packed. Quietly, quickly. They couldn't stay here anymore. But she didn't feel like a slave, running away. She felt like a person being protected, a person worth saving. And as the stars passed over their heads, she whispered something she never thought she'd say again. I want to live. She used to flinch at every loud sound. She used to keep one eye open when she slept. She used to believe pain was her destiny. Now, she was laughing. Just a soft laugh, but real. The fire crackled in front of her. The cold mountain wind blew gently through the trees. A pot of soup boiled on the stove. The man, the human, was beside her, fixing the broken drone part, humming quietly. They had found a safe place, far from the trade routes. Hidden, small, and calm. She no longer wore rags. She had real clothes, warm boots. A small necklace she made from old scrap, just to feel like something belonged to her. And she smiled without fear. She wasn't fully healed. Not yet. Nightmares still came sometimes, but now. She woke up to someone bringing her tea. Not chains. Now. She didn't ask for permission to speak. She just spoke. I fixed the solar panel today, she said proudly. The man looked up and smiled. You're getting good at it, she grinned. Maybe I'll start my own repair shop. He nodded. I'd invest in that. She laughed again. Then she grew quiet. Do you think he'll ever come back? She asked softly. The human paused, then said, maybe, but we'll be ready. And you're not the same girl he left behind. She looked down at her hands, stronger now. No more shaking, fewer scars. No, she said, I'm not. She stood and walked outside, the stars above. were endless, cold and beautiful. She had once looked up at those same stars from a cage, wishing for death. Now she looked up and whispered, "Thank you for letting me live long enough to see this." The human joined her. He didn't speak. He didn't have to. After a long moment, she turned to him. "I was nothing when you found me." He shook his head. "You were never nothing. You were just hurting. I'm still learning how to be me," he smiled. "That's the bravest thing anyone can do." She stepped closer. "I'm not your slave," she said. He nodded. "I'm not your property. Never were." She placed a hand on his chest, just for a moment. "Then what am I?" He looked into her eyes. "You're free." She exhaled, as if those words set something loose inside her soul. "I want to stay," she said. "Not because I have to, but because I choose to." He smiled. "Then you're home." And she was never a slave again. She was a survivor, a builder, a soul that could not be broken. Because one man saw her not as property, but as a person. And in doing that, he gave her the most powerful gift in the universe, freedom.